Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Concussion Nerds podcast. And we are on a roll with inviting just really awesome guests to join us. And today I'm going to introduce you to Lucas Johnston. So Lucas and I actually crossed paths 2 years ago, maybe?
Yeah, roughly about that, yeah.
Like it. And I'm going to let him share why we crossed paths, because it was that mission that he started several years ago now that has led to him today being the co-founder and CEO of Headquarters. And Headquarters is a virtual concussion clinic currently serving California, Florida, Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin, with expansion plans already this fall into 5 other states. So, Lucas, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Natasha. Excited to be here. I remember stumbling upon your podcast, I think, before we met, and got super excited by all of the information you were sharing out to the world, and it got me motivated. So it's an honor to finally be on here.
Well, thank you. No, when we reconnected recently, I was like, we need to come chat, because as you well know, I'm on a personal mission to set a new standard and increase access to care. And that is exactly what you're doing with your virtual clinic. So before we dive into Headquarters, I would love for you to share with the audience a little bit about you and how this concept and this new company came to be. Like, how does this fit into your story and your journey?
Yeah, of course. So I used to work as an engineer and product manager at GE Healthcare for many years, working on developing new medical devices and leading teams there. But in my last year of working there, just a total freak accident occurred where me and my old roommate were being idiots in our apartment and decided to wrestle each other. And he tackled me and my head went in the corner of his door frame. And I didn't think much about it as it happened. But then a day later, 2 days later, I was feeling like a total shell of myself, didn't know what was going on. And that 2 days of not feeling great then somehow expanded into being 4 or 5 months of continuing to shut myself off in a dark bedroom and just waiting it out, trying to see if my symptoms would go away. Because the advice that I received when I went to my primary care doctor first and then got referred to other specialists thereafter was just all I could do was shut myself off in the dark, cut off stimulation, and wait. And so that was extremely troubling and felt like very lonely while I was in my room.
Just out of curiosity, how many years ago was that?
This was in 2019.
Okay, so we're like, 6 years ago?
Yeah, 6 years ago. And so, getting bounced around from doctor to doctor, getting referrals, that's all everyone could tell me to. And finally started to feel better after about 5 months. But then 10 months later, got into a car accident. And it was almost the same story on repeat. I was like, oh, I've been through this before. I was told all I could do is cut off stimulation. I'm going to do that again. Shut myself off in my bedroom, and it took a little bit shorter, but still several months to recover. And after going through this multiple times, I almost had this like aha moment of a personal mission hitting me in the face, both literally and figuratively, that I really wanted to help people in and not have to go through the troubling experience that I had. So I then went off to business school and on the side spent a ton of time really diving deep into this world of concussions because it was that personal mission. And as I arrived at school, everyone called me like the concussion guy. They knew, hey, that's a lot of people are going into like consulting and finance or other, different areas of business. And I was the concussion guy, definitely very unique and not many of us out there. But I spent a lot of time outside of school reaching out to, learning from, and shadowing some amazing concussion specialist clinics. Got the awesome opportunity to shadow like Tina Master and the team from CHOP because I was in school in Philadelphia, University of Buffalo, several other amazing clinics, and also meet people as well and learn how they're doing. And I think that was around the timing that one clinician I had met with connection to connection was Mark Heisig, who I think was on your podcast at one point, and then he introduced us. And so it was during that time of me trying to just meet as many experts in the space that we got connected. And it was through all these different connections I learned of what amazing interdisciplinary care looks like and the importance of taking, care from multidisciplines to deliver really the best outcomes, and how different that was from the guidance that I received back during my patient experience. And while learning about all of that, I still was having so many conversations with friends and other people hearing their concussion experiences and them still in 2023, 2024, receiving that same outdated advice, and wanted to do something to help improve access to really what we now know today is like the best approach to care, and taking a multimodal approach to do so.
Thank you. It's so crazy. I always say, whether it be on my Instagram or the podcast, I feel like I sound like a broken record half the time because I say the same thing over and over again in terms of the concussion fallacies or the myths, or it's really the myth is outdated information is what it is.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I need to sound like a broken record. And like, we need to continue to sound like broken records.
Yeah.
Because that outdated information is still so prevalent in the concussion space. Like, I swear to God, like every day I'll talk to somebody who's been told, just like you were, you just got to wait and see.
Yeah.
And it's infuriating. I'm always like, ugh. But I think we do need to continuously keep sounding like broken records, because every time we have that conversation or every time we pull those things forward, someone new might hear it.
Yeah.
Whether it be a physician, a clinician, someone on a healing journey that's like, what do you mean I don't just have to wait? Right. And
all it takes is that one time for them to hear it. And it might not be the first 100 times you say it, but the 101st time. So yeah, the repetition is so important.
Exactly. And it's that piece of, information gets lost so easily as well. And there's so much noise in the world today that I'm just going to keep sounding like broken record. And I think those of us that are in this concussion space and are really passionate about it, all of us continuously sounding like broken records is so important. I spoke at a trauma conference earlier this year, and it was to 300 trauma physicians, ER docs, and some nurses who worked on trauma units was the predominant audience. And I said to them, did you know that there's 7 profiles? Who in the room knew there was 7 profiles of concussion? And not a single hand went up. And I was like, and that's okay. I said, but what I need you to understand is that sit in a dark room. All you can do is wait. If nothing gets better, then go see your GP's advice that we don't want to give people anymore.
Yes.
So it's like, we need to be able to identify and refer. And the people we refer to are really, truly, in my opinion, once you rule out the red flags and once you make sure everything is good, it's allied health, right? It's those clinics that are practicing multidisciplinary physical therapy, OT, chiro, like it's the allied health people who are truly, I think, spearheading the change, minus the researchers. But we know, like, even the allied health and the people who have the passion about it and people like yourself are the ones who are taking the research and actually putting it into practice, because we know research is delayed by what? They're saying like 7 to 14 years now for it to become standard practice. And even when I say there's like, when I asked a room full of 300 physicians of, did you know there's 7 profiles of concussion? That first came out in 2014.
Right. Yeah. It's not new news. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I don't love that you saw this repeatedly, but you saw a true representation of what the healthcare systems still look like.
Yeah, definitely.
So Lucas, like you said, we got reconnected. We had some conversations a couple years ago. And then all of a sudden, I get this enrollee in my Rethink Rehab class. Keep in mind, like Lucas and I haven't chatted for a couple years. I knew he was graduating. Last time I talked to him, he was graduating school and he was heading to California. You were about to drive across the country.
Exactly.
And I was like, cool, like best of luck. And so then this lovely woman who enrolls in my Rethink Rehab workshop, and she's like, oh, I was like recommended, you were recommended. She's a nurse practitioner. Super fucking cool that she enrolled, by the way. And you were recommended by the CEO of Headquarters. And I was like, what is Headquarters? And she's, oh, it's a virtual concussion clinic. We're going to talk more about that in a second. And she's, it was started by, she didn't say your name. So it was like, it was started by someone who, had his own journey and kind of thing. And I was like, is your CEO's name Lucas? She was like, yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, such a small world. So then I reached back out because I was like, I need to know what you're up to. So what is Headquarters? How did it come to fruition? Yeah. Tell us all about it.
Of course. Headquarters is an AI-powered virtual concussion clinic on the mission to make the best-in-class concussion care accessible to everyone, as we
Okay,
say.
so I'm going to pause you right there because people
Yeah.
think AI and they're like, oh, it's all fucking AI and computers. There's no
I know, right?
Well, that's like, there's people in this AI clinic. So
Yes, 100%. It's not, yeah. So, yeah, the AI is more to help with the accessibility piece. The accessibility is really the mission. We are building an interdisciplinary team modeled off incredible in-person clinics to make that top-end care available to people within 48 hours, no matter where they're located. And it's really built up of two main components. We, have the telehealth with this team, and today we have neurologists, sports medicine doctors, physical therapists with a vestibular focus, nurse practitioners, like you said, and we're working to add more disciplines of expertise across like mental health and psychology, and neurooptometry and such, but really ensure that we can deliver care to treat all those profiles, of concussion that you may have. And then we kind of, coming from my background as well as my co-founder's background on more of the technology side, have leveraged, using AI and other technologies to build up a platform that can make it more easy to deliver continuous accessible care remotely, because a big challenge is, can we deliver quality care when you're not face to face with them or in the same room as them? And so that's where that technology and the AI piece comes in, and be happy to dive more into that piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like to nerd out here about tech and all the things. So.
Of course. Yeah. So we've built up this software platform that I almost say acts as like a concussion specific EHR combined with home exercise platform, where it has a clinician facing side that helps our interdisciplinary concussion specialists save time and deliver very personalized treatment plans for their patients. And then a patient facing side where they're getting day in, day out notifications guiding them through their personalized plan while they're at home. So they're feeling very supported day in, day out and not alone like I personally felt. And they're getting, that really up-to-date treatment plan unique to them, not having to go drive 3 hours or fly across the country to get to that amazing care in person. So that's the idea.
I love that because, truly in the acute phase, there's so much we can do to support someone virtually.
Yeah.
And there are things we can do through the screen to assess someone virtually. But we know from the research over and over again that in that acute phase, we need to get them moving. And we need to get them moving in a structured way with giving them guidance on what that movement looks like. And what that movement looks like is going to also depend on how they're showing up as symptoms. Right? I have so many people who are just like, well, I tried to go running and I can't. I was like, well, if you have neck issues and visual issues and vestibular issues, running is not going to be a choice of activity you want to return to. I said, because you're not just testing your autonomic system at that point, you're challenging everything. And so I always say to people, like, it's boring as fuck, but like the recumbent bike is my favorite piece of exercise equipment in the beginning because it neutralizes all those other systems to really just work on the cardiovascular component as much as possible.
Yeah.
And I think because that is like the research is showing us over and over again, that's the piece we need to get going in those first 48 hours.
Yeah.
We can absolutely do that virtually with success, and we can progress people with success. And we have the tools based on the history and some remote assessment tools now to be able to be like, okay, yeah, we got a vestibular issue going on here. We have an ocular motor issue going on, and we can start to give programming early, right? Like I remember when you read some of the luckily it's starting to change, but when you read some of the older studies, by older, I'm like 5 years ago studies. They'd be like, if you're still, and even, oh my gosh, even in Canada, there was a new guide that was created for general practitioners in the province of, and it might have just been BC, to help them manage concussion. And so it talks about early aerobic exercise. It doesn't talk about how you structure it or the proper way to just, anyways. But then it doesn't talk about refers. It doesn't talk about referring to physical therapy or OT or chiro or anything, unless if it's like at the 3 to 4 week point, then refer. If they're, and I'm like, ugh. And even some of the older studies would be like, and again, we just learn more every year. But some of the older studies would be like, if we're 10 to 14 days, if we're 14 days out and we're still experiencing things, like then refer to cervical and vestibular therapy. And it's like, why are we waiting? This is my big thing. Yep. Why are we waiting to see if something doesn't resolve before we treat it versus we see it, let's treat it.
Yes.
Because you're not going to harm anyone and you could be implementing rehab 10 days sooner and therefore putting them on a better course of recovery. And I think in those early concussion days, we have the ability to screen that pretty well to at least get them going on some general vestibular or kind of, and I'm a queen of like specificity, but in those early days, like sometimes we just need some general vestibular and cervical work and yeah.
And getting it early, it's so correct. Can make such a load of difference as opposed to what's typically done is waiting those weeks. That's something like as we were modeling out like our what we call like treatment algorithm or just like plan, like when we have them, receive different types of therapies, like talking from like advisors that we have across these different in-person clinics, like, hey, at what point do they see or get this type of additional discipline of treatment? And a lot of times it'd be like, oh, it's not until, like you said, week 3 or 4. But when you dig down and just ask like 5 whys, like several times, is why that really is. It's not because it isn't valuable to get them that type of care, say like just oculomotor therapy within, the first week. It's just because they don't have that subspecialist available in their health system in a timely manner. And so, hey, if we had 0 restrictions on us in terms of availability and such, like what would be the timing and ideal way to get them into those different types of treatment and try to bring it up as early as possible, have the best outcomes. And I think you talk about that all the time on here. So
yeah, I love that. And so headquarters right now is very much, it's an acute concussion clinic. Yeah.
Yeah. So our focus is in acute, and we have initially launched with a primary focus in youth athletics, just because it was a starting point where there's a lot of awareness and concentration of concussions without the great access to care. But eventually we want to be able to help out people of all ages, and no matter, whether or not tied to athletics or not. My injuries, like I said, not at all tied to athletics. Want to help the person in their late 20s, early 30s, like I was, having a freak accident happen, they can come to us. It's just, where can we find people where it's concentrated to start? We do additionally have the ability for patients to find us directly. And folks can do that in the spaces that we have the telehealth, and then we're helping organizations with our software really across the country. But yeah.
So the places right now where you have, direct access, so patient direct to you, is that like in the California, Florida, Ohio?
It's the ones where we have telehealth, which is, California, Florida, Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And so we provide the telehealth there. The youth club sports organizations, the schools who we're partnered with in those states can refer anyone who gets a concussion to us, but also any patient themselves can come find us through our website. And then we also provide out the software I was referring to folks, no matter where they're located, because there's not a restriction there for delivering care. But you asked about us delivering in an acute setting. Really, a vision that I have is, hey, we can help people get like really great interdisciplinary care in the acute phase sooner. And there's still going to be cases that end up in the persistent phase. And we want to act as a very streamlined like referral to be able to get to the best persistent, centers to get them there. Because a lot of times, like maybe people do get some care, but they're not getting better. And several months go by and they're just told, okay, there's not much else you can do. And then they're on their own to try to hopefully stumble upon, learning about Symphony or another center that's near them, but they're like on their own. And we hope, hey, we're going to help you through that acute phase and act as a very quick streamline into other awesome places if you need help in the persistent phase after a couple months.
I love that. And I think that's so important. And it's, concussion clinics as a whole, you don't have to cover the gambit, right? Like you can be a really kick-ass acute clinic, recognize when that window of period is coming to a close, and be that referrer on to someone who does more persistent. And I love that you guys have been like, acute concussion is our niche and this is what we do and we're going to do it fucking amazing. Because if you do acute concussion phenomenally, then you're going to decrease the number of people that experience persistent concussion. And that's what we want overall.
Yeah.
Right? There's always going to be persistent concussion. It's never going to go away. if we do really good acute care, the percentage of individuals experiencing persistent is going to decrease.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to see across the board, right? So even in our clinic, we do both. Obviously, we do acute and persistent. And like I preach to any physician that'll listen to me, any sports organization that'll listen to me, I'm like, we have a really great relationship now with some of the physicians in our emergency department at the hospital. We're like, get us your people on day 3. Get them here as fast as you can. Because the sooner we can access it, and again, the research again, like below, like under that first week, we're going to have a faster recovery time. Right? It's like given. What was I going to say to you? Yeah. Oh yeah. My brain literally, I'm like,
oh, good.
20 different directions. You know, it's funny. So we're launching a new creative project this fall. And part of this creative project involves me sharing people's stories in a kind of fun, different kind of way. And I'm being so vague right now. For those of you listening, stay tuned for October 2025. But the recurrent theme, and again, you probably heard this through your travels when you talk to people and from the clinicians you spoke to, is one of the hardest pieces, whether it be an acute or persistent, is the knowledge of knowing who you're supposed to see, when you're supposed to see them, and finding them.
Yeah.
And I think part of that, and that's why I kind of loved how like you're vetting, in a sense, the clinics that you will refer to from a persistent capacity, because anyone and their dog today can say they're a concussion clinic, right? We don't have standardization. We don't have accreditation.
Right.
Anyone can say they do it. And not everyone should be saying they do it. And yeah, you can tell that, yes, this is a business, but you're providing a service. And you can tell that there's such passion behind it, because if you didn't give a shit about who you sent to, you wouldn't vet those clinics.
Yeah.
Yet you do care who you send people to.
Most definitely.
And so I think in the business world, there's so many ways that you can choose to do things. And I think heart and passion is going to win every single time.
Long term.
Yeah. And then you meet other people who share your values, and together you help each other's businesses grow. And then as your businesses grow, they're growing because we're having impact and serving people and changing lives, which is amazing. I'm really excited. You probably answered this already. If not, you're going to answer it again.
Okay.
What states are you expanding into this?
Yeah. So this fall, additionally to those 5 I mentioned, we're looking to add Arizona, Minnesota, Montana, Wyoming, and Iowa. Honestly, our vision is to eventually get to all 50 states, tell people out everywhere, no matter you're located. Yeah, these states, part of the reason why is actually one thing I always want to put out there for folks is so many schools I've talked to, because that's our initial one area of focus today, they're not aware of, is these states, particularly most of California, but then Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, Minnesota, Montana, Wyoming, and Iowa, all of the public schools in their states have a concussion-specific insurance called Headstrong that covers all of their students. Yeah. And so all of the students at these public schools are fully covered by a concussion insurance that will cover their care up to $25,000, no matter what type of care they need to. It's not like it's just going to be like a very basic, say, primary care diagnosis appointment. If they need any type of subspecialty care, they're going to cover it to get you the best treatment. And no matter what your family's insurance is, or if you're on Medicaid or don't have insurance, it's still fully covered. And so that's why we're, coming to these states in particular, is because it really ties directly with our accessibility mission. And we've partnered with this program called Headstrong and hoping to really help, folks who are covered by it in those states.
And that insurance, it's youth specific insurance, right?
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay. So 18 and below. I looked at it after we talked originally because I was like, I'm sorry, there's an insurance. What?
I don't think it's 18 and below, because they are with like some smaller colleges too, is my understanding. So I don't think there's a restriction necessarily on the age. That's just been their focus of what they cover. And it's actually something that, like, if there's organizations out there that want this to be a benefit for them, like, they're not restricted by the states they can offer it in. It can be anywhere in the US. And I think, many different types of organizations. Doesn't have to be a school. It can get out there. So But yeah,
That's so cool. I know when we talked about it and you were like, there's this concussion insurance. And I was like, I'm sorry. There's what?
yeah,
And then I went and I searched it up after and I was like, this is really cool. And it's definitely like you were talking to you, that was the first time I'd ever heard about it. And so if you're listening to this and you are a parent who has like youth athletes.
yes, that's correct. Yes.
Youth athletes. So if you are a parent that in the US, not Canada, sorry. Canadian,
Yeah, sorry.
in the United States, if you are a parent that has a youth that plays a sport, or you are a youth or let's say college person, because we're not really sure if he plays a sport, check out their website. It's Headstrong. Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
It's the name of the insurance product.
Yeah. Pretty sure I Googled Headstrong concussion insurance and I found it.
Yeah.
Check it out. And it's, I know Lucas and I'm in no way affiliated with it. I mean, and that's what you guys are like, you're able to accept that insurance through headquarters.
Yes, exactly. So that in our care that we deliver on the telehealth is covered if they have the Headstrong insurance. And so the family's not having to pay additional out of pocket for the care.
I love this. I love that you saw a need and both the education side, but accessibility. And I love that in that accessibility, it wasn't only in the ability to receive it, actual access, because finances play such a huge role in this too.
Yeah. Yeah. What we always talk about accessibility from headquarters is there's 3 different avenues we're trying to make top end concussion care more accessible. One is on a location standpoint, so you don't have to drive there, fly there. The second is from on a timing availability standpoint, so you don't have to wait multiple months off a wait list to get into it. And then the third is on a financial standpoint. And so, having insurance cover it is, it's huge.
I love it. I absolutely love it. What is the big vision of headquarters? This is a baby company.
Yeah.
It is in its infancy, my friends.
Yeah.
What is the vision, Lucas?
The vision is to be able to provide next day top end interdisciplinary concussion care, no matter where you are located in today, the US, but maybe even the world eventually. And even more past that, my personal mission, I've always said, is I want to transform concussion recovery to be as understood, straightforward, and not daunting as, say, a twisted ankle or a broken bone. Now, obviously, the brain is incredibly complex, and this is an incredibly complex injury that, impacts many systems in the brain. So that's pretty insane if we can do that. But doing so, it would, transform so many lives, have them feel so supported. So, that's the bigger mission or vision hoping to get to. Yeah.
I'm so excited for you. I'm so glad we were able to reconnect and I could hear more about what you were doing because I think it is so needed. It's amazing. And I love that it's someone who's got a personal connection to the mission behind the company as well.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. If people need to reach out, if they're curious, they're physical therapists, allied health people.
Yes.
If you are interested in adding a virtual component to your practice, but you'd like to do it within the context of a team and amazing things, headquarters is looking for really awesome clinicians to potentially join their team. So we will drop the website below. Lucas, I don't know if you want to share your email.
Yeah. No, it's totally happy.
All those things below, because if you're interested, connect with Lucas and see if there's a potential fit. If you're in any of those 10 states now, I think.
Yes.
We talked about earlier. I think the potential is amazing. And what I love about headquarters that I'm seeing versus some of the other virtual concussion clinics I'm seeing pop up is you've recognized the need for the specialist, but you've recognized the need for allied health and having that as a key friend. So I'm stoked for you. I'm so excited to see how this goes.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Anyone who would be interested in helping deliver care in that telehealth setting, yes, those are the states we're in today. But if you're in any other states and just not yet licensed in those states, still would love to chat. And then also if, work for an organization that has a lot of concussions, you're not on the care side of things, or maybe you work directly, say, with a school or athletic trainer, we can provide our service even, in other states, again, that software piece, and would love to be able to provide it to you. And we think we can help folks out in using that care. And then also even for those who aren't leveraging the telehealth, we hope to be able to make, the ability to deliver continuous remote care easier for you as well. Then, yeah, email is lucas@headquarters.health. Please reach out. Also, Natasha, any thoughts on demoing our little voice AI companion?
Live now?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Go for it. Yeah.
Let's see how it goes. I mentioned we're using technology too to help. Really, the goal, buzzwords, especially in the Bay Area, Silicon Valley, everyone talks about AI day in, day out. We think it can really help in the accessibility piece. One, saving a ton of time for clinicians so they maximize their time seeing the patients. So removing a lot of administrative work. And it can also help on the patient side for like delivery of accessibility of care. And so the example I'll show you is tied to that goal, where a lot of patients who are recovering from concussion may have symptoms get triggered by looking at their phone screen or computer screen. And so if we're delivering remote and virtual care through that, it can be very difficult and challenging. And so we came up with a way for using AI to do it all over voice in a still personalized fashion. And with that, it can deliver the treatment plan that the clinicians have defined for their patient remotely. So let's try Hope out virtually here, see if it works.
Okay.
Hey there. I'm Hope, your AI concussion companion. How's it going?
I'm doing okay. Not feeling that great, but all right.
Thanks for sharing that. Let's take it easy today and focus on small steps. One of my favorite memories is the first time I watched the movie Her. It really inspired me to think about helping people like you. What about you? Is there a childhood or recent memory that makes you smile?
Skiing with my dad in the slopes in Vermont.
That sounds amazing. Skiing with your dad in Vermont must have been such a special time. Let's work on getting you back to moments like that, symptom-free. Do you have about 2 minutes and a safe, comfy space to start your exercises now? These are key to getting you back out there.
Yeah, let's go for it. I got space.
All right, today we're doing pencil push-ups. This exercise is super important because it helps retrain your eyes to focus better, which is key for your recovery. Plus, it'll help with the coordination and focus you'll need for skiing again someday. Here's how it works. Hold a pencil or your finger at arm's length, tip pointing up. Slowly bring it toward your nose, keeping your eyes focused on the tip, then slowly push it back out.
How close should I go into my eyes? Can you help explain that better?
Great question. Bring the pencil toward your nose until it starts to feel blurry or uncomfortable. Don't force it closer than that. Once you hit that point, slowly move it back out. Let me know if you need more guidance.
My headaches are getting too bad. I'm at 5. I don't think I can get to 10.
That's okay. Don't push it. 5 is a solid effort, and stopping when you feel discomfort is the right call. Rest for now and let me know how your head feels in a bit. You're doing great by listening to your body.
Thank you, Hope. Hopefully people can understand what that was over.
That's so cool. I feel like Hope has evolved since the last time I heard her.
Yes.
I also think I recognize where the smile came from as well. I love that. And I think, again, I love that when you think of accessibility and when you guys think of accessibility for your business and the delivery mechanisms, you've thought of all the different kind of pieces, right down to how someone is being delivered their home program.
Yeah.
I think you're doing something that is so needed. And yeah, that was awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to drop all of the links below. So if anyone has any questions for Lucas or wants to check out Headquarters, by all means, website will be below, email will be below. And until next time, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. This was amazing.
My pleasure. All right, friends. Until next week, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon. That's today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you liked what you heard, give us a like, give us a share, give us a tag on Instagram, and please never hesitate to reach out. We love communicating and connecting with you. Until next week, my friends, have a marvelous day.